All right, so uh, whether you're talking about Perl or Raku, we both share many things, but we share a linguistic heritage, courtesy of Larry Wall, and writing Perl and Raku really feels both like I am using a natural language and like I am constructing my own language as I go. And I want that language to have all sorts of wonderful characteristics. And of course, I read a lot about good practices in writing programming languages, but it occurred to me the other day that there are a group of people who also think a lot about what it means to write and construct a language. Those are not just programmers, but also the Conlangers, people who work on constructing their own languages, either for fun. There are a tremendous number of people who do that as a hobby, or to change the world. There are people who are inventing languages to facilitate international communication, or professionally. You may not have heard of David Peterson, but if you have seen an episode of Game of Thrones or Expanse or a number of other science fiction and fantasy series, you have heard his work. He is a conlanger who has created 2 languages for Game of Thrones and a number of other languages outside of that. And he has a YouTube channel where he talks about all of the different sort of design decisions that go into creating a new and interesting and different artificial language. And I think a lot of those apply to programming. I'm not going to go into too many details there, although I'll have a couple, both because I don't yet understand it well enough and because this is a lightning talk. But his channel is worth checking out, both because it is just really cool and interesting and because it could actually apply to programming. There's another YouTuber who is called the Conlang Critic, and that's his channel there. He also does a sort of comparison and contrast style review of all of these different artificial natural languages, and natural in the sense of non-programming languages. And it's interesting to look at that from sort of a programming lens and think what of those concepts apply to us and what don't, and sort of how we can have that sort of interdisciplinary learning. Like I said, given the format of this talk, I don't have time to go into very many details, but I do want to give you just a couple of tastes of the sort of things that seem to come up when people are thinking about constructed languages. One is some languages can have what's called an enclitic question particle, which is a bunch of fancy words, but it basically means a suffix. Like in Finnish, you can add ko to the end of a word, and that makes it a question. So, instead of having to say, did you go to the store, you could say, you went to the store, ko, and that would turn that sentence into, or I guess it would be, you went ko to the store, but that would turn that sentence into a question, just by prepending the right suffix. If any of you have seen ELISP or a number of other languages that really like to use predicates in their, to name a function that returns a Boolean with a P, or some languages support a question mark at the end, so there's this same idea of, I want to turn what looks like it would be a statement into a yes/no question. In programming, the use of predicates seems to map on very well. Another really fascinating concept that some languages, both natural and artificial constructed, have is a grammatical way to denote inalienable possession. So, speaking in English, we have possessive that grammatically indicates that you own something, but some languages have the idea of inalienable possession. You possess something and you definitely possess it. And that seems to map somewhat onto immutability, but I will stop there and encourage you to go explore. There's a lot to know about.